Welcome back, everybody. It's Bulldog again. I'm back with another Sith Raid video. This one is for Phase 2. It's not near as game-breaking as some of the Night Sister videos I put out there, but this one, using Solo Scoundrels here, is a ton of fun. These Scoundrels are some of the most fun teams to play with in the game. I know a lot of people aren't able to get them yet. There's other characters that they feel like they have to focus on. I highly recommend these Scoundrel teams because they are so much fun to play. The first team, there's a couple teams I'm gonna show you how to use today. This one is the Triple Han team that I did 1.7 million damage with. Both of these here are going to be on my first try, so I think I can do much better. But you can see the potential they have. A lot of people won't want to use Han because they'll use him on the Chex Mix team. That's okay. That fourth spot can be used. You can use other characters with it. In this case, I used Hermit Yoda. Yoda was actually on my Jedi team, but he survived. Yoda is the only character that can escape from the Sith raid and be used with multiple teams. So that makes him very valuable. So if you don't have him, I highly recommend him. He can make multiple teams better. But anyway, let's break down the core of how this is going to work. And the big thing that you're going to do is you're going to use Stormtrooper Han, who gives turn meter whenever he is hit while taunting. You're going to have him spread turn meter around everybody else. Scion counters, so you're gonna get a lot of counters. That's going to hit Stormtrooper Han to give even more turn meter. They kind of create a cycle that way. I do not have Stormtrooper Han zated, which if you have him zated, it makes this a lot easier, but it is not necessary. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some people around him to help keep him alive. The first thing that's going to help is this Qi'ra lead, which will give him critical avoidance. He'll get up to plus 60% critical avoidance. The next thing is Vandor Chewbacca. At the end of any turn where any ally other than Chewie is hit, Chewie will heal everybody else's protection. So, especially on counters here, when we attack Scion counters, that won't damage Chewie, so Chewie can heal at the end of that turn. We've got young Han Solo here, who not only is going to help keep Chewie alive, but he is going to be the damage dealer. You do need his Zeta. He's going to stack speed. He's going to stack offense. He's going to be assisting the other scoundrels whenever they're attacking. He's going to be hitting hard on his own turn. So his high damage special here also helps recover a target ally's protection. You can guess who that target ally is going to be. That's going to be Stormtrooper Han. So not only does Solo do a ton of damage, but he helps keep Han alive. Those four characters are kind of the core of this team. You could actually run it without the Qi'ra lead. I tried running it with a Rex lead before I got Qi'ra to 7 stars, and it worked okay. I got about 1 million damage, which is still pretty solid. The Qi'ra lead definitely worked better. You can see here I'm going through my mods. I do not have arena mods on these characters, so even if you don't have great mods, you can still run these teams. But anyways, the final slot in the first video, I'm going to use Hermit Yoda. In the second video, where I do a little bit more damage, I used Raid Han. There are a lot of different options here. There are actually some other characters I would like to try that I don't have the 7 stars yet. Some other Scoundrel characters. Lando is a great example that would probably be good. If you do not have Stormtrooper Han zated, you are going to need a character in that 5th slot that can provide at least a little bit of defense. So Yoda here that you will see in this first video, his master training gives extra defense. He will heal protection. He will heal both health and give some turn meter. So he helps support Stormtrooper Han. Well, we'll talk about how Raid Han actually helps a little bit as we get to the second video. But let's go through some of the mechanics here. This is a team that can be a little bit tricky to play. There are a lot of decisions that have to be made. So I'm just going to go through kind of each character and some of the things you have to look at. The one you'll be making the decisions with the most is based around young Han. So just a couple things to consider. Anytime you want to have protection up on him as much as possible because he stacks offense when he starts the turn with protection up. There are two sources of protection up in this on this team. His special that grants protection up and speed, and then Vandor Chewie's special will grant protection up to a target ally, which is almost always going to be Han. And then if anybody else is prepared, it will also give them protection up. So you can get protection up from Chewie. So that's one reason you want Han to stay prepared. The bigger reason you want Han to stay prepared is that he has a 70% chance to assist when another scoundrel attacks if he's prepared. Han will become prepared when he uses a basic on an enemy that has a less than 50% turn meter. That's very important to keep in mind because normally we think we want to always target Scion, but it would be worth targeting one of the ads if you need to get Han prepared. Han will become unprepared. He will no longer be prepared whenever he uses his special. So you're going to see his special used right there. That's a huge damage. The reason you want to use that a lot is because you can heal Han's protection that way. You may have noticed at the very beginning I actually used that attack and selected Hermit Yoda as the target. The reason I did that is that Han, when he uses that high damage special, he gets bonus damage for each ally that is prepared. Yoda cannot become prepared any other way on this team, so I targeted him early to get him prepared so that we can deal bonus damage. Qi'ra will become prepared whenever an enemy receives 2 critical hits on the same turn, which with Han assisting will happen quite often. Chewie will become prepared whenever he heals at the end of his turn and he's already at full health. Since Chewie only takes damage, well, for the most part, only takes damage on Scion's AoE, he's going to stay at full health pretty well. So one thing that I played around a little bit with, I do not kill any of these little minions here. The more that they just simply don't do a lot of damage. I leave them there so that they can hit Han, which can grant everybody else turn meter. They can kind of be annoying because the Marauder will decrease Han's max health, which could possibly be a factor. Here you see we do get him pretty low on his health. For the most part, he's always going to have protection if we're doing things well. On this particular team, he's not going to go past protection very often, so losing his max health isn't that big of a deal. Although Assassin will hit under protection and just take away health. So I do kill him a few times because I don't want him basically one-shotting Han as his health gets weaker. So that's something to keep an eye on. But for the most part, I just leave the Marauder, the Sith Assassin, let them give turn meter to everybody else. They're simply not a huge threat. With Qi'ra, there are a couple abilities that she has that we can take advantage of. Her basic has offense down. I don't land offense down in this video. I don't have a ton of potency on her. A strategy that could be useful is to stack potency on Qi'ra and try to land offense down on Scion. That would help Stormtrooper Han survive quite a bit. With this particular lineup, we've got enough defense that I don't need it. I didn't really worry about it too much. But if you want to put an offensive character in place of Yoda, you're going to need to find some more defense from someplace. Stormtrooper Han Zeta is a big one, um, but just for something for people to play around with, possibly stacking potency on Qi'ra to land offense down could be something useful. The abilities that I took advantage of in this particular run are her two special abilities. Her AoE Dispel is Scattering Blast. That can be very useful when Scion gets offense up to take that away, so that he's not blasting through Han. The other one is Joint Operation, which can be very important, but it's very tricky on how to use it. So what it does is it calls a target ally to assist, and then it calls all other prepared allies to assist if Qi'ra is prepared. And there's several advantages to this. First off, if young Han is not prepared, you can call him to assist on a character that has less than 50% turn meter, and that will get him prepared, and then he doesn't have to use his basic on his own turn. So that can be very helpful. If you call Stormtrooper Han to assist, if he lands a critical hit, he will get 10% protection, so you can help heal him there. And then all prepared allies gain critical damage up. So if, especially for young Han, if he is prepared, remember Scion has a ton of defense. So getting young Han critical damage up will be huge for increasing your score. That's something that I did not do a very good job of during this run. I missed a few opportunities for that. Trying to balance all those benefits can be tricky. Do you use it to get Han prepared so that he can assist more, or do you use it while he already is prepared so that he can get critical damage up, so that when he does attack, he does a lot more damage? That's a tricky balance. So those are kind of some of the things that you have to think about as we are going through. I have to play around with it to do a little bit better. This run here you're watching was my very first run with this team. I don't think I did a bad job, but there are some instances I think I could have done a little bit better. I think you could probably hit 2 million damage with this team. I think that's probably where my goal would be for that particular squad. So that one was 1.5 million. Here is a second squad that I used. I do not use a Chex Mix team in Phase 3 of the raid. Those of you who have seen my Night Sister videos know why I don't need to do that. I do plenty of damage in Phase 3 up to 15 million. So if you haven't watched that, go check that one out. But anyways, plus the Chex Mix team is just terrible. Nobody likes to run that one. This is much more fun. The concept is exactly the same. There's not a lot of differences to go over. As you can imagine, we do more damage because we've added a second attacker. Han does quite a bit of damage on his own. He gets the 30% offense boost from the Qi'ra lead after he's had 3 critical hits, which doesn't take very long for him at all. And I mentioned earlier that Han provided some defense to Stormtrooper Han. That may not have been obvious, but what it provides is evasion up. Stormtrooper Han, without the Zeta, at least for me, the way I have him built, is not quite strong enough if I use some of the other attackers. For example, I tried Boba in that spot. I couldn't keep Stormtrooper Han alive. The evasion up doesn't add much, and the downside to when he evades is that you don't gain turn meter. But he evades just enough that I was able to keep him alive. Maybe I could mod him a little bit differently to help. You can see there are a few cases where I get pretty close to dying. So I don't know exactly how reliable this team is. But this was my first try on this one as well, and it worked. So I'm not sure how lucky I got, but it's not like I had to run this team 10 times to keep Stormtrooper Han alive. He stayed alive fairly well. There were just some close calls. I have you may have noticed from the mods, I have Stormtrooper Han modded all out for health and defense. I don't have very much speed on him. He's got all protection primaries. He's got 2 defensive sets. I would have liked to put a 3rd defensive set on him, but I didn't have the protection secondaries for a 3rd defensive set. I had much better secondaries for my health set, so that's why he has 2 defensive sets and 1 health set. I did a video about why defensive mod sets are better than health mod sets last week. So if you're confused about what I'm talking about there, go look at that video. But the bottom line is that you want to use a defensive set over a health set. If I hadn't of some of these cases here, so there was I did get lucky there. I'm watching through this video now. I very easily could have lost Stormtrooper Han there. He evaded. Then I get the huge protection bonus from Han, and then I believe, yep, we're going to get protection up from Chewie to kind of help save him. Probably the biggest thing that I haven't talked about so far is trying to balance your cycles of pain, cycles of suffering. Remember that the more cycles you have on a character, the more damage you do, the more likely Scion is to counter. Both of those are typically good things. The downside is the harder Scion will hit. So you kind of have to keep things balanced. You really want to kind of cycle through this so that you're not clearing all of the cycles of pain at one time, that you've got some characters that are being countered while others are clearing. When Han is at full, like in this case, he's got a lot of protection, he's at full health, he's got protection up, we don't feel like we need to clear the cycles of pain, cycles of suffering when he's got all this damage that he can take. When his protection is starting to get low, that's when you might want to start clearing some of those, so you don't get as many counters at that point. It's a fine line that you have to balance. That's one thing I'm gonna have to work on, is finding the best rotation for that. In neither of these videos did I clear Cycle of Suffering from young Han, because I want him doing a ton of damage. He's the damage dealer. And not only does he do the damage, but he's going to heal Stormtrooper Han's protection. I do clear Cycle of Suffering from Raid Han. I like it on there because he does do a ton of damage, but his damage is not as essential as young Han's. He's not responsible for healing anybody or anything like that, and his damage just isn't on young Han's level. So that's why I clear everybody else except for young Han, because I want that damage. We're down to 3, now down to 2 on the enraged timer here. So this turn's coming close to an end. They cannot go into enrage like some of the other teams. They don't stack a ton of health like the Night Sisters do. They don't have a bunch of bonus protection or a bunch of foresight like the Jedi do. So they're pretty much done once the enraged timer hits. But that's okay. They still get to do a ton of damage. I'm really looking forward to playing around with more people in the last spot for this team. I do not have Lando. I suspect he would be a very good character for this, but you probably have to put a Zeta on Stormtrooper Han to keep him alive. Lando can do huge amounts of damage and can do more damage with that prepared mechanic. So he could help a lot. The one character that I really would like to try is Zalbar, because he can inflict armor shred, and I think that armor shred could be very beneficial. He will be a secondary taunter, so he can help spread damage away from Stormtrooper Han. That doesn't generate as much turn meter, but I think the reduction in defense on Scion would more than make up for that. So I think he would be the perfect fifth character for this team. I can't wait till I get him 7 stars so I can try it out. If it works really well, I'll have another video up. We'll find out if he's a character that can take this team to even a higher level. But regardless, this team is an absolute ton of fun. These solo characters are fun in every single game mode. I highly recommend getting them. I know I said that at the beginning. I'm hoping there's going to be some sort of legendary event or hero's journey for them, so that everybody will invest in them and everybody can see how much fun these characters are, because they are designed really well. I absolutely love them. You are probably thinking that I'm being sponsored by CG right now. I promise that is not the case. They are not encouraging me to say this. I just really like them that much. So, anyways, thanks for watching the videos once again. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you next time.